A fiery fire show in Crimea by the Security Service of Ukraine. Drones attacked the occupiers' positions on land and at sea. Brazen behavior of Russians in the Baltic. The Russian Federation is trying to save its shadow fleet. A Russian fighter jet in Nato airspace. The military's response was immediate, but there's a catch. I'll tell you all the details shortly. Hello, this is Ukraine Today. I'm Victoria Panchenko, and here are the latest events. SBU drones attacked the ammunition depots of one of the Russian Federation's brigades stationed in occupied Crimea. On social media, it was reported that there was a powerful detonation and fires visible on the enemy's depot grounds. Local residents also reported smoke over the area of the military base itself. The occupiers' depots housed storage boxes for military equipment, weapons, and fuel and lubricants. The Russians were so frightened that they even blocked traffic on the Simferopol-Alushta highway, which passes through Uspervalne, where the ammunition detonated. There is also information about Russian soldiers who were killed while at the military depot. It is worth noting that the day before, the Russian Ministry of Defense officially acknowledged the fact of a drone attack on the peninsula. For more high-profile events from Ukraine's life, follow the Times of Ukraine Telegram channel, only fresh news and verified information. See the link in the description below the video. The Security Service of Ukraine does not stop and continues to terrorize the occupiers not only on land but also at sea. With the help of surface and aerial drones, special forces destroyed an enemy radar station and warehouses on a gas production platform in the Black Sea. First came a hellish strike from the sky. A drone hit one of the platforms from the air, and then a sea drone reinforced the success. Now the Russians are blind because the Neva radar station, which the occupiers used to monitor the air and surface situation, has been destroyed. The warehouse facilities and the residential block on the platform were also eliminated. Hellish footage for your attention. By the way, in the video that illustrated the information about the attack, the operation of two types of drones was shown. The first seconds are filmed from the perspective of an aerial drone. The device approaches the platform, targets the equipment attached to the pipes, and crashes into the target. The following shots are recorded by the camera of a maritime drone. Viewers see how it approaches the rig, weaves between the supports, and in a moment strikes the intended spot. The final seconds of the video. A moment of a bright explosion, which is captured by another maritime drone from a distance of hundreds of meters. During the recording, it is not noticeable that Russian strike assets interfered with the work of the SBU drones. The operation was carried out by fighters of the 13th Main Directorate of the Department of Maritime Counterintelligence.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
A Russian aircraft entered Nato airspace while an attempt was being made in the Baltic to stop a ship belonging to the occupiers' shadow fleet. Russia covered the shadow tanker with a fighter jet after Estonia tried to detain it. The vessel was sailing under the flag of Gabon. NATO aircraft were also scrambled in northern Lithuania in response to the provocation.
The Estonians order the vessel to stop. The tanker keeps moving. This is Estonia warship. The local navy repeats the demand.
Your request is denied. Follow my instructions. My instructions file.
But the vessel flying the flag of Gabon and with a Russian-speaking crew continues, heading toward Russia. To stop the tanker, the Estonian Navy deploys its boats and aircraft. The Russians scramble a fighter jet.
Fighter jets.
This fighter violated NATO airspace for almost a minute. This is something new. We have to understand that Russia has now officially tied itself to the Shadow Fleet.
When the vessel entered the economic zone of the Baltic country, Estonia tried to stop the ship for inspection and to determine whether it posed a threat. He was burning. He was burning. He was burning.
With every step, the likelihood of a serious escalation in the Baltic Sea increases. That is why even those agencies that have the authority to take certain actions must always carefully assess the possible consequences.
Because of the Russian fighter jet, NATO military aircraft from the Baltic air policing contingent also took to the skies. But these Portuguese fighter jets from the airbase in northern Lithuania usually do not attack. They only observe.
A Su-35 fighter jet of the Russian Air Force violated Estonian airspace in the area of the Juminda Peninsula. The incident lasted less than a minute. The Russian aircraft had no flight plan, and its transponder was turned off.
And the incident off the coast of Estonia went unpunished for the Russians. The tanker did not comply with the demands. The Estonians only observed and escorted the vessel until it entered Russian waters.
Notably, former Lithuanian Defense Minister Laurinas Kasčiūnas criticized NATO's passive behavior. Moreover, experts note that Russia will now try to save its shadow fleet, which means that such incidents may increase, particularly in the Baltic Sea. Will NATO really not respond in any way? Or will it follow Turkey's example, which in 2015 immediately responded to the violation of its airspace by a Russian fighter jet? What happened to that aircraft? Stay tuned to find out.
This is probably the same logic of not escalating, which in my opinion is a flawed paradigm in relations with Russia.
Turkey showed in 2015 how to put Russia in its place. A Russian fighter jet also violated its airspace, and the Turks simply shot it down. The Russians responded only with a diplomatic spat.
The provocations are absolutely real. They will actually happen with real planes, real fighter jets, real ships, and real peoples. Lives will be at stake.
The Latvian Ministry of Foreign Affairs reported that about 84% of all Russian crude oil exports pass through the Baltic Sea. That's tens of billions of dollars a year.
Such actions from Russia were to be expected if they tried to somehow protect or guard their shadow fleet, which sails under the flags of various countries. This is probably the first step.
Russia's shadow fleet consists of up to 1,000 tankers, about 400 of which operate daily in the Baltic Sea and help the Russian Federation fill its military budget.
The money keeps coming in, business is running. Well, basically the bad part is that this money is being used for the war against Ukraine and to destabilize the situation in Europe.
The European Union acknowledges that Russia poses a threat to all the countries in the Baltic Sea region. The shadow fleet is suspected of sabotage on underwater pipelines and cables. Because of this, increased monitoring and further sanctions have been announced.
And what do you think about the behavior of NATO military personnel? We look forward to your comments. More to come. Stay informed about the main events and hit the like button under the video. Wishing you peaceful skies above